today's lecture, we're going to continue with the series on sociology of kinship and discuss on the work titled Surfing the Net and the New Indian Marriage. This article has been written by Preeti Dhanda and Ravinder Kaur, trying to understand the shifts and continuity which has taken place in marriages in South Asia, especially in India. Now we know that technology has brought about a large scale change in a number of spheres of life. Today we are going to look in how technology or internet has impacted Indian marriage. Now before we try to understand the impact of technology on marriage, an important question is that has modern technology altered the rules of marriage such as intercaste and preferential marriage, or does this tradition continue to structure marriage and kinship? Only the medium through which marriages are negotiated has kind of multiplied. So earlier there was physical meetings for selection of spouse and partners, and then came in the newspaper advertisements, then came in the marriage bureau, which were kind to ensure that the marriages were kind of negotiated. And with the coming of internet, we have a large number of matrimonial websites working to function as kind of mediator, and we can consider this as significant for understanding marriage transformation, because if we look into the owners of these matrimonial websites, they are kind of considered as successful entrepreneurs. Now, what was behind their mind that they started off matrimonial website, and within 2 or 3 decades this matrimonial website started giving them a huge revenue? Then we need to understand why is there an increased preference for internet, and also the reason why the number of websites are kind of increasing every day. And to get an answer to this, we know that there is a convoluted link between technology, modernity and marriage. Now, when we look into the traditional ways, we know that technology was not kind of considered significant because of the divide between the private domestic domain and the public, whereas the technology was considered to be something which was part for production, for public sphere. Marriage negotiations were taking place in the domestic sphere. So what had technology to do? But soon with the globalization and with this kind of information revolution, technology entered the private sphere, and therefore it kind of ensures that even the matchmaking process is kind of in the hands of the technology through internet, through these matrimonial website. So the matchmaking process has expanded with the aid of all kinds of old and new intermediaries, from caste and community organizations to newspapers, marriage bureaus, and now online platform, giving the possibility to explore for better option. Now there are these different platforms which are available. What is something which is to be found in all of them is the persistence of these markers of identity, which caste you belong, which religion, which community, and therefore if we look into these matrimonial advertisements or these matrimonial websites, they are catering to certain community. They are kind of strengthening the rules of endogamy, caste purity, gender hierarchy, and therefore there is a persistence of the structural traditional ideas of marriage. However, when we look into the proliferation of the new technology or new matrimonial website, we need to understand that something has certainly changed, and that is the meaning of marriage. Marriage is moving slowly more towards contractual relationship between individual, and the significance of the collective, the kinship, the community is somehow kind of declining. So here we try to look into the understanding the linkage between internet, modernity and marriage. So when we look into the internet or matrimonial website, it has certainly possible because of the expanding geographical reach of marriage website. So you can be seated in any part of the in India, and yet using this matrimonial website find someone in any part of the globe, be it America or in any rural village in India. So, with the growth of internet in the country, the users of matrimonial websites have spread from metropolitan city, which is 40%, to the non-metro, and the total users are almost around 60%. Interestingly, the bulk of regular internet online users come from non-metro towns. So, the internet is basically a window to the other side. So, because there is so much of kind of comparison between a metropolitan city to a non-metropolitan city, internet gives the possibility to be one like the other, and therefore the numbers in the non-metropolitan cities are higher. The internet matrimonial websites are beginning to compete successfully with other matchmaking channels. Advertisements on television channels by many marriage portals has further extended their reach. And the idea that if we kind of look into it, as some of the owners or some of the founders of these matrimonials are now considered as successful entrepreneurs, they become a kind of a role model for others to initiate. So it is kind of matrimonial website is then kind of considered as one of the successful business that an individual can take part in. So there has been certainly through the internet the compression of space. The space or the globe is no longer as wide or as kind of distant. The internet has shrunk the space. There is a compression of the space and time. So we can be in different time zone, but yet kind of interact because of the internet. So the compression of space and time resulting from the internet revolution has reconfigured marriages in many ways. Marriage websites have transformed the marriage market from a local, regional and national to a global one. And therefore, if we look into data, we see that there has been an increase in NRI marriages in India, because the internet gives you the opportunity to get in touch with someone who is staying in any part of the globe. NRIs as an ethnic transnational middle class comprise a large section of the users of matrimonial websites. So you have this kind of cultural feeling that you kind of be in any part of the world, but your identity of to the place where you're born needs to be maintained, and therefore you need a bride or a groom from the place of your origin, and therefore the marriage matrimonial websites are enabling us to kind of retain the ideas of nationalism and retain our ideas of being one nation. So sites specially dedicated to the NRI brides and groom, and there is a kind of an economy also, because NRI would kind of be able to take larger membership, the fees is higher, so the earning from the NRI website are comparatively more than the local and the national websites. So they are kind of very popular mainly in southern India, where the bharatmatrimony.com is a favorite website for those who are looking for NRIs as their marriage partners. According to sociologist Patricia O'Brien, such marriages lend credence to the claim of portability of the Indian family system and Indian values outside India. So we have seen that the attachment to your country, the attachment to your place of origin is kind of a psychological attachment, and marriage kind of helps you to retain that attachment. And how can you find someone belonging to your native place or to the domicile is through the internet or the matrimonial website. Matrimonial websites allow NRIs a mean of reproducing such values in traditional marriages, thereby providing diasporic South Asian loci for practicing identity and producing community. So at the same time, it allows them to practice nation with the homeland, no longer being a distant memory but to be actively engaged with. So, on your economic, political field, in your sphere of work, you are so engaged, you are so involved that you don't get time to physically visit your country or to kind of attend any kind of marriage or ritual. So, what you can do is reproduce the same thing in the place where you live, and that is again possible through the internet and online platforms. In India, websites allow Indian parents and youth easier access to green card holders or foreign spouses. This is another way in which, the whole idea of becoming a citizen of a Western country is considered to be an achievement, and therefore an easy way out would kind of get married to a green card holder or a foreigner, and therefore become a citizen of any other part of the world. It allows them to fulfill dreams of mobility through speciality, hypergamous marriages. So, we see both there is an expansion of the scope of the marriage partner. At the same time, there is the compression of space and time. Marriages negotiated via internet does not lead to an end to the dangers inherent in international marriages, and individuals face the same vulnerabilities as in broker arranged NRI marriages. So, it's no kind of any kind of protection or security that there will be no violence, there will be no kind of bad relations if you are using an internet. It just kind of gives you an easy access. Over the years, there has been an increase in the cases of domestic violence in NRI marriages. So, when we look into the kind of understanding of NRI's use of website, we see both. There is an expansion, or there is a positive side which allows you to kind of compress time and have more of choice, but at the same time the traditional identity, violence and differences kind of continues. Next, we talk about how do we kind of know that using a virtual platform where there is a kind of a third party involved, the selection is the right, or we are able to find the right person. And therefore, the question arises is that can machines replace indigenous knowledge bank of the Ghatak or the Vichola? These are the intermediaries who used to negotiate marriages between two families. The community matchmakers who carried around portfolios of grooms and brides and who knew family histories going back several generations. So, they had this indigenous body of knowledge. It was not only the individuals who were getting back married, but their family, their ancestors, and the entire life history of the kinship clan. So, can the internet be replace that indigenous body of knowledge, or can the other way around is that can we have enough knowledge to kind of decide on the right match? The role of the internet in matchmaking begins with the potential brides and grooms posting profiles on a selected website. Most marriage websites are keen to distinguish the identity from dating websites. They actively discourage non-serious users who may not have marriage in mind. They also take great care to ensure that the misuse of profile does not take place and seeks to establish the trust of the spouse seeker. Thus, websites make available stringent security settings to their clients, allowing access only to those who pay to register, and communication is allowed only after mutual consent. So, there are a lot of precautions, there are a lot of security setups which are being done, but the question remains the same: can technology replace indigenous knowledge? The stigma associated with looking for a match through the internet, establishing trust and confidence becomes essential for such websites. So, how does these websites work? The website uses sophisticated mathematical formulas to match characteristics and make information available to client. A simple search can be performed based on caste or religion. A more complex search one allows matching of education, occupation, income and other such criteria. Now, whether a client can use a simple search or more kind of more complex depends on the service that the individual has availed, or indirectly the amount that you have paid. So, the filter can be used only if you are a premium subscriber or a premium member. So, your therefore implies that the higher your class, the more services of the internet you can use. To fine tune the match even more closely to desired characteristics, people can also perform searches based on lifestyle attributes such as complexion, diet, smoking, or drinking habit, or search for only a Manglic profile or those based on marital status. So, there is a huge amount of complex filters which the websites provide, but then the access to this is limited only to those who can afford to pay for the services. All these searches criteria can be mixed and matched to filter out the profile fitting a user's choice. Allowing users to search for matches by themselves, the website also recommends potential matches. So, it kind of uh, is able to understand what kind of a profile the client is using, and therefore recommendations are done and user based on member's description about his or her desired partner. While the website provides greater choice of desired sort, spouse seekers and the family still need to protect themselves against fraudulent profiles and be discriminating enough to make the right choice. So, there is a very thin line between whether there is a kind of a fake account or a genuine account, and how much of the histories of the family and the kinship group or the community is not revealed through these searches. So, kind of it's a kind of both negative as well as positive aspect. Now, who are the users of these internet matrimonial website? In their study by Preeti Dhanda and Ravinder Kaul, they are kind of giving us the data or statistics on the users of matrimonial website. If we look into the age and marital status, most of the registrants belong to the age group of 18 to 27 and 28. To 37.95% of the total number of members registered had never been married or divorced or widow. A small percentage of people, over around 4 persons, were over 38 years of age. The internet third seems to be opening possibility for older individual who can rely on their own agency to seek companion. If we look into the gender dimension, the data shows that internet portal has 73% of male representation, while female represents only 27% of the total member. This in itself is talking about the gender inequality of the matrimonial website. This is easily understood in the context of prevailing familial kinship and gender norms, especially they shape the social constructions of women marriage. So, the idea of marriage, still kind of considered to be a privilege for men, continues despite internet, modernity and other social economic changes. The marriageable girl is seen as to be much more vulnerable, and there is a need to protect her reputation. So, the idea of kind of women's status, her identity being more cultural, is kind of re-strengthened. Women worry about the misuse of internet profile and providing access to those who are kind of considered to be fake or who are kind of unwelcomed. The third criteria is education, occupation and gender. Women posted on the website had higher educational qualification than men. Over 45% of the women held a master's degree and 38% had bachelor degree, whereas in the case of men it was only 33 who had higher qualification and 44 with graduation. Even though women are more educated, 25% of women showed no income of their own. It is, however, of great difficulty to find the appropriate match for a better qualified woman. 95% of men had not stated a preference for working or a non-working women, or they did not care about the working status of their prospective brides. The fourth criteria is income and class. Most internet users are members of the urban consuming class, and it is obvious that those who are using the internet to seek the spouse are individuals of fairly high education income and class status, because it's not free, it comes with a subscription for which the subscriptions amount are kind of varied, and it depends on what service you need. Most of the registered members describe themselves belonging to upper middle and middle class. 25% of the users decided not to disclose their family class system. Caste remains a crucial variation in finding a match website that has space to specify caste and subcaste, and as many as 248 caste names are available, including caste among Hindus, Muslims, Christians, and Sikh. Parents tend to accept a groom or bride with fewer education if the caste is same. The distribution by religion among the member was highly inclined towards Hindu. Almost 80% restrained of the registered subscribers were Hindu, followed by 7% Muslim. The percentage of Christian, Jain and Sikh was higher than they present in the Indian population, reflecting higher income, education and thus greater access to internet technology. Despite being modern enough to post on the net, specific denomination implies that people are looking for spouse with a narrowly defined community. So, it is only a medium. Your idea about your marriage as strengthening caste relations, as a kind of re-strengthening gender norms, a kind of continuing. There is no change in that. What is important is to discuss the meaning of marriage, and in that individual compatibility is one of the important meaning which youth attach with marriage. So many individuals seek individual compatibility rather than purely family compatibility based on standard matching criteria. Women posting their own profile are quite explicit in the expectation of minimum professional education expected by their partners to have. Further, in newspaper advertisement, rather than professional characteristics such as income and education of the girl, more importance is given to her physical attributes like skin color and body type. If you look into the matrimonial advertisements in the Times of India or Hindustan Times, one also comes across the idea that it is kind of more fair looking girls are preferred, or kind of certain no to certain kind of not required if they are convent educated or they are achieving education in certain women institutions. So, those criteria are kind of continuing despite the change in the platform. All the virginity which was explicitly mentioned in the newspaper advertisements of 1960 is not mentioned. The demand that women should be prepared to take on domestic duties, adopt the homemaker role, even while contributing financially to the household, is made clear in both newspaper advertisements and web profile. So, what is actually being done is it is reproducing class through marriage and family. The new technology makes matching family equally easy and allows reproduction of class. Internet profiles format allows extensive highlighting of family background, which helps to maintain class endogamy. Both caste and class endogamy are maintained. Despite the modern India of internet technology, horoscope matching demands are still kind of considered important. The horoscope has to be matched, even if it was kind of being matched by the pundit or the astrologer. Now, the internet website kind of uses this, that you can online get your horoscope matched. So, the significance of the matching of the what the qualities of the two are relevant. Its importance indicates the need to control the uncertainty around the fate of a marriage, as marriage essentially remains a lottery with unknown individuals and families. Now, if we look into the language of the matchmaking in website, it is important indicator of shifting sensibility around marriage. The newspaper advertisement talks about seeking a match, while the internet website talks of seeking a life partner or the soulmate, providing individual with a way to express new desire. Now, why is this shift? This shift is also in terms of the competition within the matrimonial website. So, the more you show that you are kind of open, it kind of more modern, you are more towards western norms, and so your subscription will increase, and therefore there is a shift towards the western ideals of individual compatibility. The technology also represents the possibility of bypassing traditional requirements of confining sexuality to marriage. Many couples in urban areas are experimenting the live-in relationship and premarital relationship before they kind of marry or they tie the knot. So, if we actually kind of look through the study which is being done by Preeti Dhanda and Ravinder Kaur, it gives us a good idea to understand the shifts and continuity in marriage. And the major question is that the internet technology has not kind of transformed, it has not led into any structural changes. They are just change in the meaning or the way in which individual perceive marriage as an institution. So, to conclude, the internet has opened up horizon over which brides and grooms can be served. The modernity is one of expanding choice and possibility and overcoming barriers of geography and physical location and expanding the marriage distance. The institution of marriage change has been brought through the matchmaking matrimonial website. This has brought a significant change in the traditional arranged marriage system, slowly transforming it. So, we kind of get a good idea about the shifts and continuity in the Indian marriage. For reference, the lecture has taken totally from the article by Ravinder Kaur and Preeti Dhanda, published in 2014. The title is Surfing for Spouse Marriage Website and New Indian Marriage. This is a chapter in an edited volume by Ravinder Kaur and Rajni Palriwala. The title of the book is Marrying in South Asia, Shifting Concepts, Changing Practices in a Globalizing World, published by Orient Black Swan. If you read this text, you will get a good idea of the changes and transformations taking place in marriage in South Asia. With this, I come to an end of this lecture. Thank you.